Good morning, St. Francis. Good morning, people of God. It is Wednesday, the 7th day of August, 2024. It is Wednesday of the 18th week of the year, the 18th week in Ordinary Time. And this morning I am here on the campus of the American Tobacco Campus, here in downtown Durham, again with the Lucky Strike Tower behind me. Again, what was, let the Lucky Strike warehouses and whatever it is for making cigarettes now has become this great kind of meeting place with the restaurants and things like that, but also the place that is home to Cristo Rey, the Research Triangle High School, the Jesuit program in offering high school education to different populations of students. We established one here in the diocese a couple of years ago, and so today there was a teaching mass because again what Cristo Rey does is that it brings together not just Catholic individuals but many non-Catholic individuals, and as a Jesuit school, they do have a faith program, a faith part to the existence of the school that does involve liturgy, but the problem is that many of the students here do not understand the Mass or have never experienced it, and some that are Catholic really never go for a variety of reasons. And so trying to get past all of that and trying to make sure that people get an appreciation for when we have Mass, what's supposed to be going on, and what's happening. So we just did a teaching Mass, which was a little bit longer than it should have been, but there was a lot to say, or at least I always have a lot to say. So here on the American Tobacco campus here in Durham today. The readings for today, though, are very interesting. So we'll Jeremiah. Finally, we're in the 31st chapter of Jeremiah, so we keep jumping around Jeremiah all the time. But this is God's great proclamation of deliverance, that God will bring back Israel. God will bring back Israel to its glory. God will care for Israel. All nations will want to come to Jerusalem because they will witness what God does in bringing Jerusalem back to health and back to glory and back to wonder after its time in exile. Again, what Jeremiah begins to offer now, because although there has been pain and suffering because of the exile and the destruction of Jerusalem, because of Israel's own road that it was traveling, and it was not a very good road to travel, God now will be the one to bring them back home, to bring them back to who and what they were meant to be as God's people. So again, this God who brings us back, even when we have fallen apart and we've lost our way and we are rock bottom, it is this God who delivers. Again, this God who makes well, not a God who punishes or wants to punish, a God who condemns or wants to condemn, but a God who wants to bring back together what has fallen apart, to repair what was torn, to sew back together that which has fallen apart, and to make new and make fresh again. We have to remember that this is our God always and forever. The gospel for today, Matthew, it's a wonderful gospel, because it's that gospel. This time in Matthew, it is a woman who is of unnamed ethnic origin, but she is not Jewish. She is in the region of Tyre and Sidon, which were basically, Greek ports and things like that within Israel itself. And a woman who has a daughter who is, again, tormented by a demon, has some kind of sickness, whatever it is, goes to Jesus for help, and he ignores her. And then and he says, I'm only here for the Jewish people, the children of Israel. And then when she persists, he has that great statement of, it is not good to give what is for the children to the dogs. Again, calling her a terrible name, calling her really something insulting and rude. And that the woman firing right back and saying, but yet the scraps that fall from the table are for the dogs can eat those, right? And Jesus has a come to himself moment once again. He does this with Mary after Lazarus' death, Mary, Lazarus' sister, and now here it is with this non-Jewish woman who basically says to him, you have to help, because this is what your job is to do, and it's not just for Jewish people, it is for all people. A kind of awakening for Jesus. And he heals the woman's daughter, saying that great was her faith, to be able to know that he could do what he could do. It was not a test, because the rudeness and the insensitivity that he shows is not about testing. And again, priests who try to turn this into some kind of spiritual whatever it is are not getting the full message, because it was something that was bad and it should not have happened, and yet it is kept in scripture in all of the synoptics, so that again, to show that sometimes, again, the reminding of God, what does it mean to remind God? Not that God forgets, because God said God never forgets. But God needs to, do the work that God needs to do. And when we find ourselves, again, at rock bottom and at wit's end, and God is not doing what we need to be done, we have every right to confront God, as this woman did, as Lazarus' sister Mary does, to say, you must be who you are, or you are not anything. It is not an offense to God. It is not an affront to God. It is not showing disrespect to God. It is making sure that God remembers, that to follow through on the promises that God says, God will always keep, and that God will never forget. A blessed day, St. Francis and people of God. May the Lord give you his peace.